a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes.
And welcome to the show. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on our Consumer Advocate platform, all about helping you understand your buying decisions, make you more street smart as a consumer advocate. 11 years on air, and we bring on all of the best, absolute the best in Tampa Bay and beyond of our expert contributors. 80 different categories, helping you win in any marketplace. We've got Greg Tily in the house. He's a former Apache helicopter and, of course, military veteran right here in Tampa Bay. We're going to talk about VA loans with Greg coming up here, as well as a recent success story that he has of a military veteran doing a loan. Awesome story there. Criminal defense attorney Anthony Rickman. He's always a crowd favorite coming up here. We're going to talk with him as well on today's program. Want to invite you to our next event. It's Friday, September 27th, 6 o'clock over at the Tarpon Turtle on Lake Tarpon. Come on out. It's going to be a great time. Alex, we always enjoy these gratitude parties. We also have a boat ride this time, so come on out for the boat ride too, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. If you've never been to Tarpon Turtle, I highly recommend you come check it out. And what better day than Friday, September 27th with us?
Yeah, it's going to be a great time, and we move that gratitude party around. And by the way, it's always an open invitation to our audience. Our all types of business owners will be out there. This is going to be a lot of fun. So come on out, join us Friday, September 27th, 6 o'clock. And we mentioned also, Alex, it's kind of an interactive thing. Not many radio shows have this interactive side to them with us, being based right here in Tampa Bay. We live, work, and play. We broadcast here in Tampa Bay. So we love to do the community involvement, man.
Yeah, and like I said before, like we don't charge a fee. Like you just come out, you hang out with us, and in fact, we're going to hook you up. We're going to give you some food, and we're going to sit there and mingle with you. And you can just, tell us what you think about the show, or you can ask, any of the experts that are there about their businesses and stuff. I mean, it's a really cool experience, actually.
Yeah, first drink is going to be provided by Joe Duffin with the Home Shield or Home Warranty, First American Home Warranty.
Home Warranty,
Yep. So he's going to buy the first drink for us. And Greg, you had a good time. We had a good time at the last one too, over at the Tampa Bay Brewing Company.
Yeah, Brian, I had a great time. This was my first time getting out there at Tampa Bay Brewing. We came close to closing it down.
Great networking.
It was great networking. I got a lot of business cards.
Yeah.
Had a lot of meetings afterwards and
right.
learned a lot about other people's businesses, and I think it can improve mine. So
that's right.
Definitely a great event to go to.
A lot of fun. We're going to talk with Greg here more in just a minute. Before we do, we always like to feature our listings on air. We've got a beautiful property. Now, you've probably been listening to the show and hearing about our properties in Gainesville. So we just went up to the Florida Gators game this past weekend, and we were networking with a lot of the alumni, the Bull Gators, a lot of the vendors, a lot of attorneys that are in that area. And we've got these properties right there on Archer in Tampa and Gainesville. It's 1 mile from the stadium, 1 mile from the school, 5 minutes to Shands Medical, 1 to 2 bedrooms, all the way up to 3 bedrooms with 3 bath, starting in the 400s up to the 900s. But the big deal is right now you're getting 10% off of retail through the pre-construction pricing. So you're getting 10% off right now. Now, what's really cool, too, is you have EB-5 visa approved. You have short-term rental approved. Great investment opportunity. And this is going to be legit the best in Gainesville. This is going to be the high-end luxury. You're going to have retail on the bottom, restaurants on the bottom, resort-style temperature-controlled pools, cabanas, grills, 5 minutes to Shands Medical and Butler Plaza, and 1 mile from the University of Florida. So there's a great opportunity here on Archer Place, 3101 Old Archer Road. It's called Archer Place is the development. And you can drive by there and check it out and say hello to the girls working in the model right now. Great opportunity there in Gainesville, Florida. 221 Howard Drive, one of my favorites here locally. This one is over on Bel Air Beach, compliments of Aaron on our team. 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3,500 square foot single family home. Exclusive Bel Air Beach location. You've got a gorgeous 3-island kitchen with Thermador appliances, saltwater pool, 100 feet of linear water frontage on the deep water canal. So bring your boats, bring your jet skis, and enjoy that Florida living to the fullest. You got 1 block to the beach, and you have a great $1 million listing from the Platinum MVP team. 221 Howard Drive, Bel Air Beach, Florida. And you can see all of our listings at our website there, platinummvpteam.kw.com. And I've got to give a quick shout out to our friends Lee over at Lee's Royal Services. He does a great job cleaning our real estate properties, residential, commercial properties. Lee'sRoyalServices.com. Check him out online, Lee'sRoyalServices.com. He's also a handyman service as well, so you can knock a few items off of that honey-do list. Lee'sRoyalServices.com. All right, without further ado, Greg Tily, UMortgage, back in studio with us. Welcome back, sir.
Great to be here, Brandon, as always.
Yeah, man. So tell us a little bit about, what you're thinking in the market. What do you see things going, and where are we right now?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I believe we're going to be in a lower interest rate environment here coming up. Last time Jerome Powell met, he said we're looking to, decrease the rates, seeing how the economy does, and then you saw what the labor market came out and said we are actually 818,000 jobs less than what they thought.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. So that has a little bit of effect on what we're going to see rates doing. And then the Fed's going to meet again on the 18th of September, and we'll see what he has to say. But I think based on everything he said, especially at Jackson Hole when he said the time is right to decrease rates, I think we're going to see it. Now, how much is he going to decrease it? I think a lot of investors already pumped in about a 0.25%. But if it's 0.5%, that would be even better. And based on what he says, could affect the future rates.
Yeah, so when you say, I want you to expound on that a little bit, because we hear some people say, oh, well, that's already baked into that current rate.
Correct.
What does that actually mean?
So investors, obviously, they're planning on 30 days, selling that mortgage in 30 days. So they have to forecast based on what he says what rates are going to be in 30 days, or else they're going to lose money or, make money on that loan.
Right.
So if, prime example, some investors pumped in a 0.5 point into the rate after his speech in last time they met. And we saw, based on labor stats and economic stats, that maybe that wasn't correct, and then we saw rates go down a little bit more.
Right.
So they're baking in the percentages based on what he's saying. So
anticipation.
In anticipation of what he's saying. So they're forecasting what he says, and again, 30 days. I tell people if he doesn't do anything with rates, we're going to see rates increase.
And let me tell you this. Here's something else, and I've mentioned this over the past year, because what they'll do is they'll come out with these monthly jobs reports, right? Yeah. So that's where this 818,000 came from, right? So a lot of people don't realize, but it's kind of like printing it real big on the front page of the newspaper for people that still read newspapers these days. But so the metaphor is something to this effect, right? If I'm a mouthpiece and I want to get the message out, and I'm able to, as the federal government, somehow I'm able to just say a number that's $100,000 higher almost every month, right? Yeah. And then they come out, oh, the jobs is great. The jobs report was great. And then 30 days later, they revise it down almost every time. For a total, it's pretty much every time,
every
right?
Time.
For 818,000 fewer jobs.
That's right.
So that's like if I were to do my job and be 100,000 off every time, and then still get voted back in office in a sense. So
that's right.
Isn't that right? I mean, it's crazy.
And the Fed's using those numbers to dictate what he's going to do with the rate. So, so if he had those correct numbers, would the rates be less now than they are, or would they have been less 3 months ago?
Right. The mismanagement. It's total mismanagement. It's bureaucracy, and it's crazy. But if you just joined us, we're talking with Greg Tily at UMortgage. She's here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon BRimes. We're a top real estate team here in Tampa Bay. And when we look at the bottom line is homeowners gained $28,000 in equity over the past year. Here's a story that it came out on it's a equities group here. If you own a home, your net worth has probably gone up a lot over the past year. Home prices have been rising, which means you're building equity much faster than you might think. Now, when you get into different geographics, different areas, different, that's the thing. Real estate is so local, right? So it's going to be up or down a little bit per se. But Tampa Bay in general, we're doing pretty good. We still have days on market up. Days on market. It's taking a little bit longer. We have inventory still kind of piling up. It's not crazy like it could be or potentially was in your 08s and 09s. So overall, it's a pretty close to balanced market.
Yeah, I think so. And I saw a good stat today, or an interesting stat today, that said purchase contracts are actually lower than they were in the pandemic. So people are sitting on the sidelines.
Right.
They're waiting for, I don't know, maybe they're waiting for a presidential election, which if you're out there listening, waiting for a presidential, change, I don't think the presidential election is going to have anything to do with what rates do and your ability to get into a house. So if you're really looking at getting into a house, I would say get off the couch now, because once interest rates get lower, that's going to flood the market with more buyers.
Right. Yeah, you'll see that as irrational exuberance, the people coming, and then that feeding frenzy that happens, and you might lose out, like a lot of people did last time. They lost out. People were writing offers, very little inspection times, if any, waiving inspections, things of that nature. That's
right. And you said it. It's kind of balancing out. It was a heavy seller's market. Right. Sellers kind of dictated what was going on. Now we're seeing it evening out. Are we going to get to that buyer's market? I don't know if we are. If the interest rates drop, it might shift back into a seller's market. So you got to be very careful with that teeter. Is it going to go too far back to a seller's market, or will it continue to go to a buyer's market? I don't necessarily know if we're ever going to get to a buyer's market in Tampa, especially.
Right. Yeah, exactly. In Florida, in general too. No, so Greg, tell us a little bit about, you had a recent success story you were telling me about. Pretty cool story. You helped out, I think it was a military veteran.
Yeah. So I had a veteran that called me and wanted, he was denied with a loan. He was looking to get a $2.4 million loan.
Wow.
He was thinking he needed to go conventional, right, because his realtor was pushing him to a conventional, which, how much money down is that going to take? I said, what, I can get you have your full eligibility. I can get you a $2.4 million VA loan with no money down. He was selling a house.
Wow.
So he didn't want to take money out of his finances, out of his investments, making really good money.
Right.
He goes, I'd rather do no money down when I sell my house, just put it back in the house. So I got him approved for a $2.4 million house, no money down, no PMI.
Wow.
At a great rate. And a lot of feedback I got was, well, I didn't know you could go that high on VA loans. And in fact, you can go up as high as your approval allows you to.
Your debt ratio, basically.
Your debt, basically your residual. There's no DTI on a VA loan, which is another fallacy. Everyone's like, you got to stay around 55%. Sure, that's a good number to assume, but it's all about residual, which means the money you have for home. For basically all your home costs after your mortgage payment.
Your housing expense.
Yeah. And, so we closed last week, and he was very happy, excited. The realtor was shocked that we got the appraisal back within 7 days, $50K over value. She did not believe that could happen, and we got it done. That veteran's very happy right now.
Wow, that's super cool, man. $2 million loan.
And he didn't
veteran.
have to sell his house prior.
Right.
To get the down payment in order to go conventional.
And that's a big deal too, to eliminate some of the stress, from that, the challenges that poses when you have these deadlines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So we're talking with Greg here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, talking about recent success story. And Greg, you do focus a lot on the veteran loans.
I do.
Focus on that, and you're able to do many different types of loans. One of the things I think about a lot is for the down payment assistance money. If I'm not a veteran, outside of that, what kind of monies are available? Do local municipalities have programs? Where do you search for that?
It is different state to state. And the Florida DPA, actually, it's funny you just brought that up, is they just emptied their pocketbook, so they're out of money now. So there's certain ones and be very careful when you're planning on using a down payment assistance or a DPA loan that they don't run out of money, that those pockets don't go empty, and now you're not saving because you're planning on using a down payment assistance when now there's no more money.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot. In fact, a couple weeks ago we saw that where Florida they had no more money to give out clients.
Yeah.
And then when will that come back? We don't know.
Hometown heroes.
Hometown heroes. Will it come back? I'm sure it will, but when will it come back, and how much money will it have to give out?
That's right. All right, good questions. We're going to follow up more with Greg on the flip side of this break. Taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Also coming up, Anthony Rickman in the house, criminal defense attorney. Feel-good story of the day as well. 5,000 are now sleeping with roof over their heads thanks to Oregon Task Force slashing homelessness. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, cool cats. Summer's definitely started here in Florida. The only question is, are you hot or are you too hot? Here at Pool & Coolin', our goal is to keep you cool. We do AC repairs, full system replacements, and whatever else it takes to provide you with superior service. With over 150 years of experience, our technicians are fast, honest, and dependable. Pool & Coolin', we'll keep you cool. Call now, 855-955-COOL. That's 855-955-COOL.
Lindsay Rhymes here with Archer Place in Gainesville, Florida. Our luxury condo community is located only 1.5 miles from the University of Florida, 5 minutes to Shands Medical and Butler Plaza. Our buyers love the high-end luxury amenities in their building, including a state-of-the-art fitness facility equipped with Pelotons, the resort-style temperature-controlled pool accompanied with cabanas and grills, and the gourmet chef's kitchen in our clubhouse that overlooks the pool. We have pre-construction pricing only for a limited time, with floor plans ranging from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath to 2-floor penthouses with plunge pools. Starting in the low 400,000s to the high 900s, investors, parents sending their young adults off to school, medical professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs alike are investing in these residences. Reach out to us today at 727-263-3707 to get more information.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Hot listing at 15435 Southwest 33rd Street in Ocala. This one is a very unique opportunity. What you have is a lot of land, and you've got a single-family home that's partially built. It's 75% complete, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You have a solid frame with durable metal roof. You have a new well, septic tanks, filtration systems. You got power there. Great opportunity to buy and take over this partially constructed home. 5 acres of land, 33rd Street, Ocala. Great opportunity here. Zoned for agriculture as well. Ideal for horses enthusiasts as well. So 15435 Southwest 33rd Street, Ocala. Beautiful property. Great opportunity to own real estate and finish the project. Great opportunity there as well. All right, Gulf Boulevard right here in Indian Shores. I love this Gulf Boulevard beachfront condo that we have for sale. This one's 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet. Beachfront condo, Indian Shores. And the owner is motivated. Let's make a deal here. 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores. Lots of updates. The best part is you walk out your front door, you walk past your community pool, your heated pool, and you are on the Sugar Sand beaches and dolphin-filled waters of Pinellas County. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, so I love that clip there with Cole Swindell. You know, he's raising his glass to those saving our ass overseas, man. And you were one of those. You were one of those guys saving us and driving the Apache, piloting the Apache helicopter, man. That's awesome.
A couple deployments, Iraq, Afghanistan. If you would have bet me that I was going to be 20 years in the military, I probably would have lost that bet. But it's something you love to do. I loved being in the military. I loved flying helicopters. My daughter was born when I was in Afghanistan. Met her when she was 3 weeks old.
Wow.
Moved the wife from Syracuse to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and Fort Leavenworth, Kansas here. So I'm very, sensitive to the military move.
Yeah.
And the PCS moves of those military members going all over the country.
Yeah.
And there's just what you mentioned. I do a lot of VA loans. The reason I do a lot of VA loans because I'm very passionate about it. There's just a lot of bad information out there on VA loans.
Yeah.
I answer questions all the time. Can I have more than one VA loan? Yes, you can. Can I get another VA loan with no money down? Yes, you can. If the numbers are correct, you can. I have one guy that has 3 VA loans, no money down on each property. One in Texas, one in North Carolina, one in Florida.
Wow.
Absolutely, you can do it. There's no PMI. I went with a veteran last week, and he goes, well, what? I don't see the PMI. So it's a VA loan. There is no PMI.
Wow.
We talked about that $2.4 million loan with no money down. We can go that high. Absolutely. And the other thing I want to discuss is you mentioned the $28K in equity in these, on average, in people's home. What a great way to build wealth, right, in real estate. And what we have, too, is the highest consumer debt probably in history right now.
Right.
Go check your credit cards. What's your interest rate? 29%. Maybe you don't want to check it because you might get sick seeing what that interest rate is.
Right.
You have $28K in equity in your house, maybe more. Is it the right time to do a cash out refi to pay off some of those high debts?
Right.
Could be. Let's do the analysis. Or when these rates go down, one of the easiest refis to do is the VA Streamline Refi, otherwise known as the EARL, Interest Rate Reduction Refinance Loan. Easy. So again, if you're swimming in debt, you own a home, you're looking to consolidate that, let's have that phone call.
Yeah.
Let's do the discussion and run the numbers, see if it makes sense. A lot of times, it may.
Yeah, get a review of what you currently have and take a look at what your debt is. You look up the overall household debt, and you take that and put it into a refinance look, and then, wow, I could refinance all the debt to this. And, you're going to save a lot of money monthly as well as an interest. 727-263-3707. Call or text the hotline. 727-263-3707 will put you in touch with Greg Tily at UMortgage, and he'll take good care of you. Final thoughts, back to you, Greg.
No, just final thoughts on what you just said is, but I have a low interest rate. I have a low mortgage rate. I had a guy with a 3.5%, which is a great interest rate. Mm-hmm. But he has $50K in credit card and other debts. We did the analysis. His monthly payment with a 5.75 interest rate was lower than all his total monthly payments.
Yep.
By $1,200. Wow. Did that make sense?
Right.
Absolutely made sense. So again, let's do the analysis. Doesn't cost you anything. It's a free analysis. Let's talk. And last thing too, get off the couch. If you want to get into a house, let's start getting you pre-approved now instead of 3 months from now. Let's work on facts versus assumptions.
Yeah, and also the rent versus own. If you're out there renting and you could get into a home and you're owning now versus renting, paying the landlord's mortgage, that's a huge win as well. Reach out to the show hotline online at consumerqb.com, and you can also follow Greg as well online as well. He's on Facebook. He's got his Instagram there as well. Greg Tily, Consumer Quarterback Show, mortgage expert contributor. So lots of things to think about there. Get that review. Get into the real estate space before rates drop and there's a feeding frenzy. I think that's a key right
Absolutely.
now. You're getting a lot of concessions. Buyers are able to ask for things they may not be able to ask for, concessions, repairs, etc. Greg, thanks for coming in, man.
Great to be here. Great to see you, Brendan.
All right, we're going to talk with attorney Anthony Rickman coming up here in just a moment. Plus, feel-good story of the day coming up. 5,000 are now sleeping with roof over their heads thanks to Oregon Task Force slashing homelessness. Feel-good story and attorney Anthony Rickman after the break.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show.
And we're back. Brandon Rimes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team. Attorney Anthony Rickman in studio with us. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the local police things. There was some buzz going on. You also have the Amendment 3 coming up on the ballot, as well as Brazil bans X. We're going to talk about that free speech side of things here in just a minute. Before we do, got a hot listing at 14135 Cypress Circle. This one is in Carrollwood. at 14135 Cypress. Now, what I love about this property is it's a great location. First off, you're right in the middle of Tampa Bay at Carrollwood, and you're on Cypress. Now, what we have here is Cypress clusters at Carrollwood Village. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 carports, 1,308 square feet. Cypress Circle in Tampa. It's a beautiful condo on the interior. You have the lighter colors, the stainless steel appliances, beautiful community pool. Check out Cypress Circle Tampa for sale by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. 2790 Pinellas Point Drive South. This one's in St. Petersburg. We've got a lot of inventory in St. Petersburg, by the way. If you're looking down there, we've got multiple properties for sale in St. Pete. Many listings available. Open houses going on this weekend, so you should check out the Platinum MVP team at platinummvpteam.kw.com. But this one on Pinellas Point, beautiful home, open floor plan, culinary enthusiast will absolutely delight in the fully renovated kitchen, open floor plan, and lots of updates there at 2790 Pinellas Point Drive South, St. Petersburg. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Quick shout out to our friends at solarbear.com for any solar needs, residential, commercial, solar. We recommend Solar Bear. You've heard Blake Ambrester on our show. You can see him on our YouTube channel, by the way. Just pull him up on our YouTube channel, solarbear.com. And a friend of the program, reach out, and we'd love to have you consider working with them. All right, Anthony Rickman, welcome back in, sir.
Great to be back.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming in. And let's jump right into it, man. There's a lot always moving on with our segments. There's a lot going on. Let's start locally here. What are you seeing locally? You said local police had a sting going on.
It was a busy weekend. You know, holiday weekends,
yep.
When law enforcement comes out on holiday weekends, they do certain types of saturation, certain types of investigations. And this weekend, there were 2 real big events with Tampa Police Department, Hillsborough County Sheriffs. Tampa Police Department focused more on street racing. They focused on what's called a takeover. And a takeover, we see on those videos, people in LA or San Francisco and Tampa, all over the place, shutting down streets, doing donuts in the middle of the road, racing their cars, acting crazy with their vehicles. And ultimately, this is a big issue in our city and in other cities as well, where you essentially have people taking over public streets and racing their vehicles, causing issues. And ultimately, it's not just what happens in the public street, it's getting there, right? Because they race to the takeover. They race from the takeover. They race at the takeover. And law enforcement is doing a good job being proactive in trying to stop these events from happening. And I've handled a lot of cases involving street racing, involving people who have been killed as a result of a street race, killed during a street race, or just stopped or arrested for street racing. And the purpose of these takeovers is to stop these individuals from engaging this activity prior to driving, before they're in a situation where they're driving and they kill somebody. Yeah. Because under our Florida statutes, under vehicular homicide statute, if you're involved in a race, and even if you're not the person who hits somebody, we saw it in my Bayshore case, you can get charged with vehicular homicide if the person you're racing hits or kills somebody. If you're racing somebody and that person kills themselves, the person you're racing against kills himself, you get charged with vehicular homicide, even though that person killed himself during the race. Wow. If you're at a street takeover, your listeners have kids. They have, the parents are buying their kids cars or buying their kids Mustangs. And they're out doing these takeovers. Yeah. And they get stopped or arrested. They're going to get charged with racing. Their vehicle is going to get seized for 30 days. Then they're going to have to go fight this charge that results in an automatic suspension of their license for a year. Yeah. It results in a mandatory conviction on their record. Someone's going to follow them forever. So, and when we talk about traffic infractions, there's no juvenile court for that. If you're 16, you're 15, you're getting charged in adult court for it. Wow. And I represent a lot of clients who are charged with this, and there's things we do to make these defenses to show the government that this person wasn't involved in this race. But at the end of the day, I got a case today where somebody was a passenger in the car that was racing. They got charged with street racing. Jeez. What are you supposed to do? Grab the wheel and stop them from driving? Yeah. But it's a big issue, and law enforcement's really cracking down on these type of cases. Man, I tell you, that the 16-year-old kid buying a car, like my first car was a very fast car. It was a Z28 Corvette engine, T-tops, and just some of the silliness that, I may or may not have participated in all those years ago. It's a challenging thing. And then because the parents are like, oh, well, we want to
we want to have the kid, love us in a certain sense. If you got that's the thing. When you have two parents now, different households, divorce situation, they're buttering up the kids. Here's this super fast car. And then they see these TV shows or movies with, Fast and Furious 83 now. And then you have, these rappers and stuff making it look cool. But I've seen some of the videos where those cars will do those spins and all of a sudden now they're in the crowd hitting people. Yep. It's so dangerous, but
and spectators at those takeovers,
yeah,
they get charged with racing too.
Wow.
So even if you don't have a car there and you're watching that street race, you can get charged with racing. It's a case over in Pinellas County where a guy was standing on the side of the road with his kid watching street racing, and one of the cars went out of control and struck the child.
Wow.
He got charged with the homicide of his own child because he took his child to that street race.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, it's better be the safe parent than the cool parent.
Yeah.
You're going to spend a lot of money on criminal defense attorneys.
Yep.
And these things will follow people for the rest of their lives, and it's unfortunate.
It really is, man. I remember, one time I was driving fast and my dad at that, that young age, he says, hey, how do you know there's not a kid with chasing a ball coming out behind that van right there? You can't see. It's a blind spot. You could kill a kid, and I think you have to have that parenting at that point. And it's so hard to be there all the time, every day on these different places. But I think that's where you get the, just the character, the overall character of the kid is such a key important part. We're talking with Anthony Rickman. He's a local attorney here in Tampa Bay, criminal defense attorney, talking about local police things over the weekend. Also, you've got Amendment 3 coming up. Can you explain that to the voters?
Yeah, so Amendment 3 is coming up to the voters. The voters are potentially passing the use of recreational marijuana, allowed to carry and possess marijuana for whatever purpose it may be, no longer medicinal purposes. You can carry and possess a certain amount of marijuana that's allowed by the government. You can't be walking around with kilos. But at the end of the day, it's going to result in some things happening. Number one, are we going to see an uptick in DUI drivers? People who are driving under the influence, not traditional DUI, where we see under the influence of alcohol, but under the influence of marijuana.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you could still be arrested, charged with DUI, even if you have no alcohol in your system. Because they can charge a DUI, it's a chemical substance or a controlled substance. And marijuana is a chemical controlled substance.
Wow. I
handle cases all the time with people accused of DUI because an officer smells what they believe to be marijuana emanating from the vehicle or emanating from the person. And that results in that person getting out of the car, doing field sobriety exercises, and if they show cues of impairment, being taken down to submit to a blood or breath or urine test.
Wow.
Now, in a DUI case, traditionally alcohol, we see a breath test. In a traditional drug case, in a marijuana case, we'll see a urine test. The problem with it is that that THC, the marijuana, is going to remain in your system potentially up to 30 days from when you took it. And there's no real way right now to quantify how much marijuana is in somebody's system when they submit to those tests.
Yeah.
So I've had hundreds of cases where people come back, well, you smell like marijuana and you tested positive for THC. But what the government has to prove, the state of Florida has to prove, is that at the time of driving, you were under the influence of marijuana or alcohol.
Right.
And that makes it hard to do in these type of cases for the government.
Yeah.
And it's important to get a good criminal defense attorney because, look, people are smoking now. I mean, you call it, you like it or not, you're out, you go to a bar, you go to a restaurant, people are smoking marijuana.
Or edible. They're just popping edibles.
Yeah, but you get in your car and law enforcement smells the odor of marijuana. You have bad balance problems. You're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
And then you're fighting a DUI case where you may not have anything in your system.
Wow.
At that time.
Right.
But it's in your system
right.
because it takes that long for your body to metabolize it. And we're going to see a lot more, if this amendment is passed, of stone driving cases.
Yeah.
People allegedly being stopped because they're under the influence of marijuana and then failing field sobriety exercises. So, law enforcement's going to have to, or the state's going to have to come up with something to better quantify what's in the system at the time.
How do you quantify the exact number, right?
Exactly, because it's fundamentally unfair. If somebody smoked marijuana at 8 o'clock in the morning and their clothes still smell like this, and then at midnight they get stopped and they haven't smoked, it's still in your system, your clothes still smell like it.
Yep.
You may not do good in exercise because, quite frankly, you can't pass those 90% of the time, even if you're sober.
Yeah.
They're designed to make you fail.
Right.
We could do a whole show on that alone.
Yeah.
And then you're got this DUI charge.
Yeah.
Where you're losing your license. You're going to court. You're doing DUI school. You have to wear a patch if the court makes you do that. So, there's going to be a lot more of these cases. It's important if you're stopped, arrested, or accused, they find good legal counsel to fight these charges.
And I bet also, Anthony, you have situations too where you've had a shooting incident or some type of a battery, and it's a similar topic about, well, how much marijuana did they have?
Yeah, and look, it's going to equate in everything. We're going to talk about your ability to perceive. Someone's on a witness stand testifying. You smoke marijuana. When did you smoke? What'd you do? Are they able to recall what they saw? You talk about a shooting case when you have a weapon. Look, we talk about all the time. Look, people have guns now, and people are using those guns, and people lawfully possess those guns in self-defense. The argument's going to be, was this person under the influence of marijuana when they used their gun in self-defense, or when they used their gun prior to the incident, and maybe they were the aggressor? So with the uptick in marijuana use, and if this amendment is passed, we are going to see a lot more cases they're going to have that component, right?
Yep.
That is the person under the influence? Are they lawfully using it? And did that in some way affect their behavior to cause this offense or impair their ability to do what they normally would do?
Right. Also on a federal level, though, doesn't when marijuana, whether it's legal in your state or not, purchasing firearms, utilizing the firearms, you can't even go to the gun range and practice because it asks you on that form, hey, are you under the influence or something? You could say no, but if let's say someone does a piss test right then and there, or if they decided to, you would pop for marijuana. So we're running into some gray areas there.
Without a doubt. And we talk about that same thing. If you're smoking marijuana and you are then going to a gun range or possessing using a firearm, and somebody gets shot or killed, that's enough to substantiate a homicide charge, a manslaughter charge, because you did an act which would reasonably foresee the death or injury occurring to somebody, and that death occurred. So if you're possessing a firearm or using that firearm and you're under the influence of drugs, whether it be marijuana, cocaine, or even alcohol, and that gun goes off, or you inadvertently engage the trigger and somebody dies, you're looking at a homicide charge.
There was an interesting one also that you brought up. By the way, Anthony Rickman in studio with us, Alex Lima to my left, Anthony's to my right here, and I'm your host, Brandon BRimes. So when you look at also, I thought it was so interesting and an interesting point, Anthony. If it's an argument happening and the person reaches into the car and either takes a shot or grabs a necklace, that's called breaking and entering too, right?
Yeah, it's burglary. In that case, it's
burglary.
And it's a burglary with assault and battery, which is a felony punishable by life.
Wow.
And in that circumstance, there's a jury instruction. I'm actually arguing in a couple weeks on a stand your ground case, where if you break the plane of the vehicle, you have the reasonable fear is presumed.
Got it.
You're presumed to be in fear if someone breaks into your vehicle. That's a jury instruction we have in the state of Florida. And in that circumstance, you can use deadly force to prevent the commission of that forcible felony, burglary with assault and battery, or the commission of an event that can cause you to be killed or seriously injured.
Right.
So in those circumstances where we see people reaching into vehicles and then we see the use of force, that's one of the arguments we make, is that when you're reaching that car, you can get shot.
Wow.
And, it's not like the old days where you get an argument, people get out of the car, they confront each other in the street, they talk about it. When you get out of the car to confront somebody because they cut you off, expect that person to have a gun.
Wow.
And you can most likely get shot or killed.
Yep.
And if you have a gun and you walk out and you confront that person and then you shoot that person because they may move towards you, the question becomes, who's the initial aggressor?
Who's the aggressor?
And I've had cases where they've charged that person who got out of the car to confront another driver. That other driver has a gun or has something that triggers the person who gets out of the car to then use his gun. You can't start a fight. You can't get out of the car, be the initial provocateur and say, hey, I'm standing my ground. No, at that point in time, you should have stayed in your car.
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of issues like that we see. And then you add this next component with the marijuana intoxication. Who knows what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So Amendment 3, wow, that's going to put a wrinkle into things potentially.
Yeah.
Going to change it up a lot. All right, let's take a quick break. More with Anthony Rickman when we come back. Criminal defense attorney here in Tampa Bay, Anthony Rickman on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Plus our feel-good story of the day coming up as well. Find out about this story and more coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon BRimes here for AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. My wife and I shifted a lot of our buying habits, and we wanted to support companies that support our values, patriotic, Christian, conservative companies. And you can find that online at AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. Now, what you're doing is you're not spending any new money. You're simply buying a lot of the common purchases that you're buying every month for the kitchen, the bathroom, your shampoos, your laundry detergent, all types of great essential oils, vitamins, herbs, those types of products. And for you beef lovers, we have great beef products as well. Tenderloin, sirloin steaks, grass-fed beef available as well. So check out AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. And I'd love to talk to you if you have any questions about it. There's also business opportunity there for you as well. 813-917-1894. And thank you so much for supporting our company, AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. By simply shifting some of your buying habits, you're going to help support like-minded people, like-minded companies, and that can support you as well.
Lindsay Rimes here. My husband Brandon and I own the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams, and our team of seasoned agents is ready to help you buy, sell, invest, and love the life you live here in Tampa Bay. Communication, execution, customer service, and bulletproofing transactions are really where our team shines. We service Hillsborough, Pinellas, Manatee, Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties, and we have seasoned agents in residential, luxury land, and commercial divisions. Reach out to us, your Christian realtors, and let us help empower you with the right knowledge to make smart decisions with your next transaction. Call us at 727-263-3707 today. Again, that number is 727-263-3707.
Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rimes. You can reach me at 727-263-3707. Call or text 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, we're back. Brandon Rimes here. Every day we tell you something positive in our Feel Good segment.
Tell me something good.
All right, you got so 5,000 are now sleeping with roof over their head thanks to this Oregon task force slashing homelessness. So this task force was recently approved, and they moved 5,500 people out of homelessness and into housing, making a 28% increase from the previous year. The achievement, driven by the Joint Office of Homeless Services in Monmouth County, which has been addressing one of the nation's largest homelessness crisis, says the efforts were funded by supportive housing measures funded by the Portland voters, and they've led to significant success. 35% increase in residents entering shelters and a substantial reduction in homelessness in the other adjacent counties. The rate fell by 65%. Collaboration and persistence have been the key outcomes, with officials weighing of the importance in partnerships and frontline. So whenever I see statistics like that, though, I'm wondering, like, what is the number from? Is it from the high water mark or the low water mark? So it's interesting to see. But hey, anybody that seems to have a homelessness, solution, let's look at it. Let's look at it and see what we can do to replicate.
Without a doubt.
If that's the case, we'll see. All right, so we just have a few minutes here. I wanted to get to a couple different things. This Amendment 3 with X is an interesting story. I want to play this quick clip.
Yeah. Brazil's highest court ruled Monday that the Brazilian government is allowed to block the social media platform X. The government is threatening to fine citizens $8,900 per day if they use it.
Daily Wire culture reporter Megan Basham is here now with more on Brazil's X ban. So, Megan, why has Brazil banned X?
So this began with a showdown between Elon Musk and Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexander de Moraes. To give you just a brief summary of how this has played out, a few months ago, Moraes had ordered X to censor accounts, primarily those in support of former right-wing President Jair Bolsonaro, for allegedly spreading hate speech and disinformation. Well, Musk...
So anyways, I'll just pause it there, but what's your thoughts about that case?
Look, this is... it's free suppression of free speech, it's suppression of free ideas. I mean, we live in a country right now where we're starting to see it in our own homeland. We're seeing suppression of ideas, we're seeing suppression of speech, and we see Brazil now taking down X. And people go to X now. X isn't what it used to be. It's not just, people up there posting. People go to X for their news.
Yeah.
Because you can't watch the mainstream media right now and get fair news.
Right.
And people are going to X. People are learning things that they may not know. It's one of the first things I read now. I never used to do it.
I know. I do.
Drudge and certain things that I used to read are not what they used to be.
Yep.
And, so you have to be able to go to other sources of media. And now we see a country shutting down free speech. By the way, that same country is hosting an NFL game.
Yeah.
And the NFL, our NFL is going to Brazil
Wow.
to play a football game, the country that imprisons their citizens, suppresses speech, and we're going there to play a football game.
Yeah.
And look, we talk about suppression of speech. Look at Meta. I mean, look what Meta just came out and admitted to doing.
Exactly.
Suppressing stories that are bad for the Biden administration.
Right.
How is that ethical? How is that legal? It's a violation of every tenet of free speech.
Yes.
When they're intentionally suppressing COVID stories that are against the narrative that actually wound up being true.
Exactly.
And suppressing the story of the Biden laptop. I mean, how is it now that the Biden administration has gone to Meta and says, we don't want you running these stories. Meta doesn't do it. Facebook doesn't run these stories. How is that not suppression of knowledge? How is that not tampering with the election?
Yeah.
Look, Donald Trump is on trial right now, was just convicted of 93 felonies for keeping an alleged story from a porn star of getting out to the Inquirer. Meanwhile, you have the sitting president of the United States and his administration suppressing a story that actually has national security interest.
Right.
Saying it's not true when they know it's true. We know now that at least 10 FBI agents say it's true. And they've intentionally suppressed it, and there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
Hey, we're sorry.
That's true.
It's all okay.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be okay. That's
and by the way, he's too weak and nimble, and he's got a forgetful memory to stand trial. But the other guy, let's go after him hardcore, 1,000%.
I was reading a stat the other day. He's on vacation more than any other president in the history of the United States.
Right.
We got hostages being killed. He's on the beach. He's hanging out. I mean, who's in charge of the place?
I'll tell you what. I saw Reagan over the weekend, yesterday, matter of fact. And you talk about a contrast between what we're seeing now in politics to what he went through and what he did and his great legacy.
Yeah. And look, it's a different world we live in. The world that you and I grew up in, Reagan, Bush coming through, and now and seeing where we stand now as a country.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It really is.
And having kids, it's a different world raising our kids. We talk about street racing. We talk about the things that our kids are exposed to and they see. It's a whole new world.
It really is. Yep. Yeah. So you got to bookmark the number, save our hotline, and we'll put you in touch with Anthony Rickman, 727-263-3707. You get pulled over, you're asked to do a DUI check. Hey, look, who are you going to call? You want to call his office as well, 727-263-3707. That's the show hotline. And then, Anthony, how do you prefer people contact you?
Reach me in the office 24/7, 813-999-0502. Shoot me an email, arickman@therickmanlawfirm.com. Me and my attorney is always available for you, no matter what time of day it is. Someone will pick up the phone, someone will help you. Don't wait. If you've been arrested, accused, talked to by law enforcement, the first call you got to make is to a lawyer.
Yeah, don't wait. Don't fall into the trap, because once you say it can't be unsaid.
Can't be unsaid, and it will be used against you.
And it will.
It will.
It may or may not. It will be used.
One way or another, they're going to find a way to do it.
They're going to find a way. That's right. Anthony Rickman, Rickman Law Firm right here in Tampa Bay. You can check him out online, therickmanlawfirm.com, and online on Facebook, The Rickman Law Firm. Anthony, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
Always a good segment there. Hey, another great show. We had the Apache helicopter pilot, Gregory Tily, on the show. We got Anthony Rickman as well. And, of course, Alex BlackBelt Lima in the co-pilot seat here. Consumer Quarterback Show, always helping you win in any marketplace. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes.